here on Caitlin Johnstone's Substack. I'll link it down below. Title, so you can see if I move myself out of the way, Bush-era war criminals are louder than ever because they've lost the argument. Louder than ever, obviously in reference to the U.S. pulling the troops out of Afghanistan and the Taliban retaking power in that country very quickly once that happened. And before I get into the article anymore, quick shout out to the two Uber Patreons on Patreon that Uber patrons on Patreon that support me on there. My partner, thank you, Rosa, and Independent Left News, who'll be having on the channel for a live stream on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, right? No. Yes. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. There we go. Just wanted to get that out of the way. After the U.S. troop withdrawal established conclusively that the Afghan government, they'd spent 20 years, again, the United States was there for 20 years, pretending the nation build was essentially a work of fiction, thus proving to the world they've been lying to us this entire time about the facts on the ground in Afghanistan, like the Afghanistan papers. You might expect those who helped pave the way for that disastrous occupation to be very quiet at this point in history, but far from being silent and slowly and under a rock to wait for the sweet embrace of death. These creatures have instead been loudly and shamelessly outspoken. The Tony Blair Institute for Global Change has posted a lengthy essay by the former PM who led the UK into the two of the most unconscionable military inventions of living memory, Afghanistan and Iraq. Blair criticizes the withdrawal as having been done out of obedience to an imbecilic political slogan about ending the forever wars, bloviating about radical Islam, and asking, has the West lost its strategic? Yes. Crawl under a rock, shut the hell up, crawl under there, and die, for God's sakes. Jesus Christ. And I think we also had Bush crawling out from his war cave criminal. Blair promised by helping the Bush admin usher in an unprecedented new era of military expansion, they could seize the unfortunate event to reorder the world in a way that would benefit all the world's most unfortunate people. Mountains of corpses, tens of millions of refugees later, it's clear to anyone functioning gray matter this was all a pack of lies. Now, like any sociopath whose reputation is under threat, Blair's begun narrative managing. Tony Blair's paid around 1 million, I think that's pounds, right, a year as an international advisor to an organization called Mubadala Development Fund in the UAE. It's been reported that Mubadala has been developing a plan to mine $1 million to mine the $1 trillion worth of resources of Afghanistan. Skin in the game? Yeah, so I'm sure this had nothing to do with Blair's partnership with that mining company, right? Look, he's awesome. Give him a follow. There you go. George W. Bush, yep, picks up on that. Paul Wolfowitz, John Bolton, doing media tours, condemning the withdrawal, while Bill Kristol, whose neocon influence played a key role in the Bush admin's military expansion, is now promoting arming of proxy forces against the Taliban. So let's arm Al-Qaeda there so they can overthrow the Taliban. Sounds like a great fucking idea. Jesus. They are narrative managing because they've been proven wrong, because history remember them as the men who were proven wrong. I wish history remember them as these people who were locked up in The Hague for crimes against humanity. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to that point. Their claims that a massive increase in military interventionism would benefit the people of the world that's never the case with the U.S. or their allies. Helped murder millions of human beings precisely, and made lots of money for the defense industry and the military industrial complex in general. It's about preserving the reputation and their legacy. No, we're not mass murdering war criminals. We're visionaries. Look at Iraq. Look at Libya. Look at Afghanistan. See our visions at work. If we could have just remained in Afghanistan another 20 years, history would have vindicated us. Just 40, 50 years, maybe entire century. It's important. Democracy. We're helping the women there. We're helping the children. We must stay to kill and impoverish them further. We must stay. We're visionaries. The catastrophe cannot possibly be the fault of the people directly responsible for orchestrating it. It's got to be the fault of the officials who inherited it. It's the fault of the ungrateful inhabitants of the nations who graciously invaded. It's the people and their imbecilic desire to end the forever wars. But of course, it's their fault. None of this need to be this way. It's made this way by stupid people with no functioning empathy centers. They can try to reframe and spin it however they like, but history will remember them for the monsters they are. The saner our society becomes, the more unforgiving our memory of their crimes will be. And this line about people with no functioning empathy centers, that really reminds me of Ted Cruz. Piece of shit. Excuse for human being, just a real ghoul. He was at an airport recently and somebody went up to him and asked him about the murderous sanctions that he supports on Cuba and Venezuela. Didn't deny that tens of thousands of people, including children and the most vulnerable marginalized, have been killed in those two countries as a result of these murderous illegal sanctions. He just started talking about communism. So you support Maduro and socialism, and that Ted Cruz in that example, perfect case of having no functioning empathy center. Same with these people who still 20 years later still weren't in Afghanistan enough, still didn't do enough damage and destruction there. We need to stay longer. Work there is not done. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yes, all these people crawl under a rock and die. We should not be hearing from you again. Shut the fuck up. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. Peace. Much love.